Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Underrail Expedition. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you chose to join me today as we continue talking to the ferryman. I see you've started opening them, I do. The lighthouse, its luminescence, captivating, ain't it? It's just a light. So what's inside? Death? What else? He shakes his head. Yes, they're tombs alright, but tombs have treasure. What's inside? I could tell you if that'll make you a bit more talkative. He's super talkative already. There's only one way to find out. One way to find out, kid. A lot of really interesting things, if you must know. Things the world could benefit from. Could it? Really? Like what? Oh, Technology? Technology. You think more technology is gonna help this world? Typical. I don't. I don't actually think. Maybe. Well, it's not. This world is not missing technology. That's not the problem. He stares into the sea, appearing as though he's looking straight through the surface. Descent, he says, and he takes a long draw, blows smoke, and continues without looking at you. So what do you want this time? So, last episode, we were asking about some questions about the Black Sea, and we asked a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, and then I'd like to know more about the factions here. Yeah, but I also asked about that already. Was that the last one, or I thought it was about the locations of the Black Sea was the last one. Where are you headed next? I'll be hitting the Muti Refuge first. And after that, probably Port Seto. That's the plan. He blows some smoke. There you have it. Well, I guess that's that, really. Every time we mention the ruins, you start silently staring into the water. What is that supposed to mean? You're thinking of something. What do you think? Who do you think you are, kid? Just a woman looking for truth. Oh, you think so? You're lost. But in the grand scheme of things, so am I. You, me, the rest of Underrail, the poor suckers who lived here and whose skulls now serve as insect and fish homes and for coral to grow on. He takes a long draw and exhales the smoke to the left. He gazes at you while holding his pipe, and then he takes another draw, exhaling to the right this time. Well, perhaps I do that, staring at the water thing. Haven't noticed. Must be subconscious. Yes, subconscious. 'Cause it is down there, kid. The center. You stare at the surface of the sea, but only see your own reflection. You break the surface and see nothing but the unlit depths. The center, it's somewhere down there. Everything's sinking toward it. Down, down. These Lemurians, that's how they call themselves. They called themselves. They even built toward it. And they met their doom before us. Before, but only seemingly. We're all sinking together. Tell me more about these things, about the Lemurians. You speak as though you know a lot about them. If you want specifics, I know little about these Lemurians. Perhaps even less than you do. What I do know, though, is that they were people who attempted to ascend through technology. By descending. That is an unfortunate choice of words, Mr. Ferryman. Biocorp, too, and many others, all doing essentially the same but differently. They thought they could emulate or even return to the surface or beyond. Look what became of their endeavors. I'm not sure he's referring to technology in the sense of... Technology is a very misunderstood word. First off, let's just put it out there. Technology is just the application of your understanding of physics. So, for example, if you know how bridges work, your technology, or the technology you possess, allows you to make bridges. Because, I mean, unless you don't possess the technology to make bridges, even though you do know how bridges work. But bridges are technology, but so are firearms, and so are computers, and so are spoons. The lever and the chain and the rope, all of that is technology. It's just different levels, obviously. But you need to get past that to engage with this specific argument over here. He's saying that they tried to ascend through technology. And if I tell you this just flat out, ascend through technology, tell me you think of the same thing I do right now, because I think that's just cyborgs. Which is making me think that the strongmans and the handmaidens might be people, but I doubt it. I think we've read that it couldn't be. It can't be, because we've read emails where they refer to strongmans and to handmaidens. You know, they're different things. They're not people. But that's what you think. That's what, what does even ascend mean in any context anyway? Ascend just means, to achieve success in this particular context. But the point is, what they were doing was not doing it through technology. Unless they were specifically looking for scientific advancements by going into the center. Maybe that would be. Maybe that, I don't know, maybe they wanted to, just know more and more science so they could have better technology. And they just, were exploring like that. That would be in keeping with the theme of, at least with the name of the expansion, so, no, I guess expedition, not exploration. It's kind of the same thing, almost. The point is, I don't think they were doing it through technology. I think what they were using were not shabby boats like this, and this man just has a prejudice against nice-looking boats. And he's just like, these fancy Lemurians, they had nice boats. And they did have nice boats. And that's why he's saying, they have technology. Meanwhile, he also has technology, even though he's shabbier. But anyway, I don't know what, I think it's just, I think the thing that I started saying, the thing about the spoons being technology and ropes and bridges and whatnot, that wasn't in the mind of the writer when they wrote this. But at the same time, even with that caveat, if it is indeed true, I think that's the case, but even at the same time, it doesn't come through what the hell they were doing. Anyway, but it ain't fate that awaits only the deluded and voracious, but us as well. Only we are lighter and thus sink more slowly, but we do sink. We do make our descent into center, one way or the other. You keep mentioning it, but what is the center? This descent into center? You really want to know, kid? Yeah? You think you can handle something which could change your whole perspective on life, existence, reality itself? Oh yeah, I can handle anything, old man. Bring it on. We'll see. He walks to the cabin, pouring the ash from his pipe into the sea along the way. There he kneels, effortlessly at his age, even though it's confusing about him not looking old, even though he looks old. Or the other way around. Besides the bed, and grabs a small plastic box from underneath it. It is a simple dark brown box with a worn-out label. In it, another pipe, similar to the one he has been smoking up until now, but with a rougher texture and more prominent signs of age. Inside is also a nylon bag filled with what appears to be tobacco. After sprinkling the said tobacco onto his pipe, dosing it carefully until satisfied, he uses a tamper, a pen-shaped tool with a wide flat head, to gently compress it, and then he repeats the process 2 more times before putting the pipe tool away. He takes a draw, not yet lighting his pipe, and returns all of the items but the pipe back into the box, which he also returns to its original location. He walks back to you, stroking his yellowish mustache with his left hand, eyes glued to the rusty deck. The ferryman then pulls out a lighter. Descent into the center, you say? Okay, we don't need to hear about... What the hell? What is this writing? The original game is not like this. This expansion is weird. It has verbose writing about things that don't matter. Anyway, we'll skip all the things. We can begin, kid. Just skip the green stuff. That's what I'm gonna do from now on. What I'm about to tell you are my own thoughts, observations, ideas, my own philosophy. His own lines are verbose as hell. I don't need the narrator adding to the pile telling me about the temper, what kind of pen-shaped tool it is and whatnot. I'm here to ramble, not you, narrator. Go away. My own philosophy, he says, which I based on years of study and experience. I looked within myself and the surrounding world, its history and culture and lack thereof. I have read the old books. That's immediately that's immediately a red flag. Lack of culture? Yeah, you're definitely not what's the word? Not superior, you know, a superiority complex sort of thing. Anyway, I've read the old books and books older still, and I studied and compared their contents in an attempt to extrapolate the ultimate truth. This is what I inferred. This reality of ours stretches in a certain direction, drawn by something I refer to as the spirit of gravity. This direction leads to true death. So we're talking about the eventual end of humanity. It's descend into the center. You catch on quick, real quick, kid. Yes, humanity as a whole, from individuals to entire civilizations. However, let's take this one step at a time, as things ain't as simple as they may seem. You see at the very top, way up there, there's where the origin is. It is the highest point of existence. Free from all the hardships, complete weightlessness. I should point out that I shouldn't have to point out that this is all a bunch of bollocks and not actually relevant to the plot of the game or anything. It's totally irrelevant. None of this matters. So, anyway. And then there's the center, where true death awaits. Well, I'll continue in a little bit. It's not that it doesn't necessarily matter. It could matter. This could be an introduction to a turn of the narrative. This could be the plot of the expansion for all I know. But there's been zero introduction to any of this. And I finished the game once, and then there is zero introduction to all of this as well. Although there is one character that might reference... I don't remember the details, but there's one particular character that's going to be very important later on that might reference something like this, but I don't remember the details, as I said. Anyway, and there's the center where true death awaits. The spirit of gravity I mentioned. It's the call of true death. Everything that exists, you, me, communities, and entire civilizations heed this call. Everything that lives must grow old and heavy, and eventually die. And so we start at the origin and are being pulled down over time by the spirit of gravity toward the center? In principle, yes, that's true. There's much more to it, though. But before that, I need to address your over time, for the passage of time is but an illusion. It is simply a way in which we perceive this directional nature of reality. That is what time is. Yes, it is merely an illusion. Everything is merely an illusion. Because you can't access it directly, so you need to rely yourself on the illusion that your brain processes. But let's not go there, because I will ramble about that. I love that thing. The problem with this definition, though, is or the problem with understanding time as a even from a mathematical standpoint, I'm pretty sure I've seen a couple of I was gonna say number file videos about it, but it wasn't number file. It was some other channel. I don't remember. 1 blue 3 brown, maybe, or it's the other way around. I don't know. Anyway, the point is that saying, "Oh, time is an illusion," we just perceive it that way. It is correct. Well, to a certain extent, quantum mechanics doesn't fit very well with that interpretation of reality. Up until a certain level, as far as I'm led to believe. But you can look at it that way, but the problem is you're also ignoring what time is. Time isn't the thing that you're defining, it's your definition. So, like, you can't say, like, oh, that painting is an illusion, because it's not the real thing, you know what I mean? No, the painting is the illusion. The real thing is whatever the painting was based on, if it was based on anything, you know what I mean? And time, from a very real scientific perspective, is just the definition of a phenomenon. And that's how things work. Like, for example, for dark matter, when you say dark matter might not exist, you're saying you're not referring to the definition of dark matter. The definition of dark matter very much exists. It's a thing that we can do calculations with and say, this is dark matter. We don't know if it's real, so if it isn't real, then all this definition doesn't matter. But you know what I mean? It's like it's just the definition is what matters. And if all of a sudden we realize that our definition of time doesn't fit a reality, like imagine we didn't find that time was even an illusion at all. We found just it was a completely different thing. And is it the holographic universe theory, or is it the simulated universe theory? one of those does deconstruct time in a way that would eliminate our need for well, it wouldn't eliminate our need, but in certain contexts, it would eliminate our need for definition of time. I'm not equipped to talk about this sort of stuff, but the point is, the definition is what's real, and it is real because it's like the painting. The painting is real. Anyway, I ramble. I don't need the narrator to talk to me about pipes. Its physical manifestation is the tendency of humanity to dwell in ever greater and darker depths of the earth. And then he's mixing up, which is he's mixing up physical or physics with sociology, or I guess anthropology in this case, and that's a huge red flag. Once you start doing that, he's just like, no, just no, you're just full of crap. No, humanity that was closer to the origin dwelled among the stars. You understand? Yes, I will choose this one. If I understand correctly, this spirit of gravity is pulling us towards the center no matter what. And what we see as passage of time is fundamentally the passage of our descent. Sure. Time is place. Wow. Well, I'm even more drugged than he is. This point in time we're currently in is the physical point of our decline. Am I right? Actually, wait. That's time space. That's the definition of time space. But that is, that's not the definition of time space. Time is not space. Those are two things. Time space is a thing, and you can, if you start to think, was it Heidegger? I think Heidegger that's philosophy though, and also he was a Nazi. So anyway, because his philosophy influenced his politics a lot, and vice versa. Anyway, the point is, the identity tied to time and space is an interesting thing. And when I say identity, I do mean as in ourselves. Are we the same person that we were 10 years ago? In a very literal way, are we saying, it's tied to questions like the ship of Theseus and stuff like that. Is it the ship of Theseus? It is, yeah. Anyway, this point in time we're currently in is the physical point of our decline. Am I right? He gives you a slight smile. Very good. You seem to be understanding things well so far. I think I could safely proceed and say a word or two about true death. The true death is the ultimate death, the permanent death. Even the death is not a physical effect, a physical phenomenon. And I know how this sounds like. You need to. When I say this, death is not a physical phenomenon. I mean that because it is obviously a physical phenomenon. Like, it can be diagnosed. You can just look at the person and just do some tests or whatever and say, this person died. Okay, that's declared time of death and whatnot. The problem is the definition of death and the definition of life, which the two are intermingled very closely, obviously. Those definitions are totally arbitrary, as are a lot of definitions for physics. But specifically those two are arbitrary. They are not, like, if we lived in a society that saw life in a different way, or even didn't see life at all, like, you can, let's say, make up a society like ours, but it's all robots, right? It's just everything is the same. People just go around, they're all robots. Every one of us is robots. I'm doing here, being a robot, doing Let's Plays on YouTube, and then you're on your phone or on your computer right now as a robot listening to this, and we just didn't have the concept of death. Or life. We just, that wasn't a thing because we backed our things up, and, it's fine. We need to be shut down for 10 years for whatever reason. Sure, we do. Then we get back up. It's fine. Just eliminate completely the notion of life and death. What is the science that those computers could, or that those robots, I should say, could not have done that we as humans can? They could do the same thing. It's just they can access the same knowledge in scientific terms as we could. Just, it's completely, the definition of life and death is not necessary. And in fact, I could put this in a lot more maybe persuasive terms, even though we shouldn't fall for persuasiveness when you're talking about science. And also, you shouldn't listen to me very much when we're talking about science. I'm just putting my thoughts out there. You know that whole thing about nothing is destroyed, everything is transformed? Nothing is created, nothing is transformed. The whole thing is, nothing is created, nothing is destroyed, everything is transformed. Like, that is the ultimate debunking of death as a physical phenomenon. Because you just need to apply that to everything. And it is true. Like, for example, when we die, our body doesn't cease having energy. It doesn't cease having chemical reactions. It doesn't cease existing. Which death sort of is. The ceasing of existing. And I suppose it makes sense to talk about true death if it is going to be like the end of existence. But the problem is then you start coming into that whole philosophy point again about and asking yourself, what is existence? Because if time is not necessary for existence, or if time is necessary for existence, not necessarily time wouldn't be necessary for existence in a setting where time is an illusion and doesn't matter. Things exist irregardless of irregardless. That's not the word, is it? Irrespective. Things exist irrespective of what time they are. And you can ask a funny question if you want a little bit of a brain teaser. Let's see. You have memories from when you were 10 years old, right? Probably, maybe. Try to think of something that happened. Something that happened that for a while, like maybe you were having dinner. Like, it's just a thing. It's just a simple thing. You were having dinner and you remember that dinner at 10 years of age. Is that you having that dinner a true thing? If the answer is yes, which it should be because that's how we talk as humans, then you need to think about it as in it doesn't. That's nowhere in our timeline. It doesn't exist. There's no evidence like currently. Excuse me. There's no evidence of that dinner taking place. You can't go and watch. Oh, look at that! It's me at 10 years of age having that dinner. You know what I mean? So for that sort of definition of reality. Because, you know, we're talking about existence and reality. You need to abstract yourself from time. And that's why philosophy should not... or rather, that's not why philosophy should not mess with science, because it absolutely should, and it's a very important tool for scientists to have a grasp on certain philosophical elements, because if they don't, then they start messing around with philosophical elements without knowing that they're messing around with philosophical elements, like, for example, death and life. And I know that sounds really weird. Like, every time I say that, I have a lot of weird things that I say about this particular subject. Like, for example, trees aren't real. Have you heard me ramble about how trees aren't real? Maybe another time. Anyway, we're going to continue. Meaning that we come back to life if we do not die a true death. That is even worse than the first option. I'm going to go with the first option. Meaning that death is an illusion. Yes, but which death? True death is far from an illusion and means the end of existence. That's what I was saying, wasn't it? Was it in the line? No, that's what I was saying. False death is merely physical. No, it isn't. Although we might not be talking the same level. We can say physical death, and you know, it's just not. We're talking about different things. Because you see, false death does not release one from the descent. One will just be reborn again, where he left off. Or even lower, suicide will not only not help you, it will instead confuse you and further remove you from the origin. You understood the essence, that immaterial part of us remains even though our corporeal mechanism ceases to function, and that allows us to return and continue with our descent. True death is a literal death, material and immaterial, and it is not a desirable outcome. That is what I have inferred. From what? Also, immaterial death, that's what I was referring to. That's what I said. That's what death is. It's necessarily immaterial. Because nothing is created, nothing is destroyed, everything is transformed. So what is true? Literal death, actually? Death is cessation of action. Sure, if you define it like that, it is. It could also not be defined like that. It could be defined by other things. Especially in scientific context. So, actually, especially in a religious context, because this is just his religion. I think it's pretty obvious. False death only of physical and only until you are reborn, while true death is of all action and of your whole essence. False death is not death at all, but most will know no better. True death doesn't sound like such a bad thing then. You simply cease to be. as opposed to the other death that apparently gets me reincarnated. Is it the reloading mechanism? You don't cease to be, your action does. Oh, maybe he's gonna talk about that thing about the 10 years old dinner. And whatever direction you take it, it must and it will. The only question is in which manner, by returning to the origin or by dying a true death. In true death, your action will be accentuated to an unbearable vibration, and in that manner transformed. He's saying nonsense all the time. And in origin? Origin. He takes a long draw and exhales slowly. We'll get to origin. Yeah, we will. Next episode, though. For right now, I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been Underrail Expedition. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I'm sorry I'm talking, rambling, and things. I hope you enjoyed that. If you didn't, I apologize. But you can leave a like or a dislike. They do the same thing for my numbers. If you leave a like, that'll make sure the next episode comes out sooner rather than later. But above all, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you liked it. Bye.